Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! A gentle hum, courtesy of the air conditioner, permeated the peaceful atmosphere of the apartment as Drew stood before the bathroom mirror, his gaze fixed on his reflection with an intense scrutiny he hadn't felt before. His fingers delicately outlined the familiar shape of his face, each touch evoking a strange awareness of his own skin. Messy brown locks framed his face, almost touching the mirror as he leaned in further, trying to decipher the mysteries of his complexion. In a slow, calculated move, Drew grabbed a tub of moisturizer from the counter and began to unscrew its lid, the sound unnaturally loud in the stillness. Just then, the bathroom door opened, and Sarah, his girlfriend, entered. Her eyes, momentarily wide with curiosity, softened into a warm smile. "Drew? Care to explain?" she queried, her voice calm and free from any accusation. Caught off guard, Drew's hand froze mid-motion, his finger poised above the creamy moisturizer. I was just... Sarah stepped closer, her expert gaze taking in the scene. As a professional makeup artist, she was no stranger to the world of skincare and cosmetics. "Were you trying out my moisturizer?" Drew nodded sheepishly, lowering his hand. "Yeah, I guess I was just curious. My skin's been feeling kinda dry lately, and I've seen how much you love this stuff." Sarah's smile widened. "That's great! I'm glad you're taking an interest in skincare. But you know, there's a proper way to apply it for the best results. Want me to show you?" Relief washed over Drew's features. "Really? You wouldn't mind?" "Of course not! Come on, let's do this right!" Sarah guided Drew to sit on the edge of the bathtub, then began to explain the basics of skincare. She demonstrated how to properly cleanse his face, gently patting it dry with a soft towel. "Now, for the moisturizer," she said, taking a small amount on her fingertips. "You want to dot it around your face like this, then gently massage it in using upward strokes. It helps with circulation and absorption." Drew watched intently as Sarah applied the moisturizer to his skin, her touch expert and soothing. He closed his eyes, relishing the sensation of the cool cream and her gentle fingers. "There," Sarah said after a few moments. "All done. How does that feel?" Drew opened his eyes and touched his face, marveling at how smooth and refreshed his skin felt. "Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea it could make such a difference." Sarah beamed, pleased with his reaction. "That's just the beginning. There's so much more to skincare and, well, if you're interested, I could teach you about other things too." Drew's curiosity piqued. "Like what?" "Well," Sarah said, a hint of excitement in her voice. "There's exfoliation, serums, masks, and if you're really curious, we could even explore some basic makeup techniques." Drew's eyes widened. "Makeup? I don't know. Isn't that a bit much?" Sarah shook her head. "Not at all. Makeup isn't just for women, you know. Many men use it too, whether for correcting small imperfections or for more dramatic looks. It's all about self-expression and feeling confident in your own skin." Drew pondered this for a moment. The idea both thrilled and terrified him, but Sarah's encouraging smile made him feel safe to explore.
"Okay,"
he said finally. "I think I'd like to learn more." Over the next few weeks, Sarah introduced Drew to a whole new world of skincare and cosmetics. They started small, with tinted moisturizers and subtle concealers. Drew marveled at how a dab of product here and there could even out his skin tone and hide the dark circles under his eyes. As Drew grew more comfortable, Sarah began to teach him more advanced techniques. They spent evenings experimenting with different eyeshadow colors, laughing together as Drew struggled to master the art of eyeliner. "It's all about practice," Sarah assured him as he groaned in frustration, a wobbly line decorating his eyelid.
Nobody gets it perfect the first time.
Drew found himself looking forward to these sessions more and more. There was something liberating about the transformation, about seeing himself in a new light. He began to notice the way different colors could bring out the warmth in his brown eyes, how contouring could subtly reshape his features. One evening, as they sat on the living room floor, surrounded by an array of makeup products, Sarah turned to Drew with a thoughtful expression. "You know, I've been thinking, would you like to try something a bit more complete?" Drew raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Sarah bit her lip, excitement dancing in her eyes. "Well, we've been focusing on individual aspects of makeup, but I thought it might be fun to do a full look. Hair, makeup, outfit, the works. What do you think?" Drew's heart raced at the suggestion. He'd be lying if he said he hadn't thought about it, hadn't imagined what it would be like to fully embrace this new side of himself.
I think I'd like that,"
he said softly. Sarah clapped her hands together. "Wonderful! I have the perfect outfit in mind. Wait here." She disappeared into the bedroom, returning moments later with a pink sundress draped over her arm. Drew's eyes widened at the sight of it.
"Are you sure?"
he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah nodded encouragingly. "Only if you want to. We can start with just the makeup if you prefer." Drew reached out, his fingers brushing against the soft fabric of the dress. He took a deep breath, then nodded. "No, let's do it all. I want to see..." Sarah's face lit up. "All right then, let's get started." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Sarah worked her magic, transforming Drew's appearance with expert hands. She applied foundation, concealer, and powder, evening out his skin tone and giving him a flawless base. Next came contouring, subtly reshaping his features to appear more feminine. As Sarah worked on his eyes, Drew kept them closed, allowing himself to sink into the experience. He felt the soft brush of eyeshadow across his lids, the careful application of mascara to his lashes. "Okay, you can open your eyes now," Sarah said softly. Drew blinked, his gaze meeting Sarah's in the mirror. He gasped softly at the transformation. His eyes looked larger, more doe-like, framed by perfectly curled lashes and a subtle smoky eye. "What do you think?" Sarah asked, watching his reaction closely.
"It's incredible,"
Drew breathed. "I can't believe that's me." Sarah smiled, pleased with his response. "We're not done yet. Let's move on to the lips." She selected a subtle rose lipstick, applying it carefully to Drew's lips. The color was soft and feminine, complementing the rest of the makeup perfectly. "Now for the finishing touch," Sarah said, picking up a brush and some styling products. She worked on Drew's brown hair, styling it into soft waves that framed his face beautifully. Finally, Sarah helped Drew into the pink sundress, adjusting it to fit perfectly. She stepped back, admiring her handiwork. "You look beautiful," she said softly.
"But what matters most is how you feel." "How do you feel?"
Drew stood in front of the full-length mirror, hardly recognizing the person staring back at him. The pink sundress hugged his figure in all the right places. The makeup accentuated his best features, and his brown hair fell in soft waves around his face. He felt different, liberated, beautiful. I feel... Drew paused, searching for the right words. I feel like me, but a different me. A me I didn't know existed until now. Sarah smiled, squeezing his hand. That's wonderful. And you know what? I think this you needs a name. What do you think? Drew thought for a moment, then smiled.
Eva,
he said softly.
I think I'd like to be Eva.
Sarah nodded approvingly. Eva it is. Well, Eva, what do you say we go out and show the world your beautiful self? Eva's eyes widened. Go out? Like this? Sarah nodded encouragingly. Only if you want to, but I think you look amazing, and I'd love to take you out for dinner. What do you say? Eva hesitated for a moment, then nodded, a smile spreading across her face. Yes, I'd like that. I'd like that very much. Sarah beamed, grabbing her purse. Fantastic! I know just the place. As they stepped out of the apartment, Eva felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. The evening air was cool against her skin, and she marveled at the feeling of the dress swishing around her legs as she walked. They made their way to a small, intimate restaurant a few blocks away. Eva felt eyes on her as they entered, but to her surprise, the looks weren't judgmental. If anything, people seemed to admire her appearance. The hostess greeted them with a warm smile. Good evening, ladies. Table for two? Eva felt a thrill at being addressed as a lady. She nodded, unable to keep the smile off her face. As they were led to their table, Eva caught her reflection in a mirror. The lighting in the restaurant cast a warm glow on her skin, making her makeup look even more flawless. Her brown hair shimmered, and the pink dress seemed to glow. They settled into their seats, and Sarah reached across the table to squeeze Eva's hand. You're doing great, she whispered encouragingly. Eva took a deep breath, feeling more confident by the minute. She picked up the menu, her perfectly manicured nails a stark contrast against the crisp white paper. As they perused the options, their waiter approached. Good evening, he said with a friendly smile. Can I start you ladies off with something to drink? Eva glanced at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. I'll have a glass of white wine, please, Eva said, her voice soft but steady. Make that two, Sarah added. As the waiter walked away, Eva let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. This is surreal, she whispered to Sarah. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Sarah's eyes sparkled. You're doing wonderfully. How does it feel? Eva thought for a moment. It feels right, like I'm finally being true to myself. I never knew I could feel this comfortable in my own skin. Their wine arrived, and they clinked glasses in a quiet celebration. As they sipped, Eva found herself relaxing more and more. The initial nervousness faded, replaced by a sense of joy and freedom. They ordered their meals, chatting easily as they waited for the food to arrive. Eva found herself gesturing more gracefully, her movements softer and more fluid. She caught herself playing with a strand of her brown hair, twirling it around her finger as she listened to Sarah speak. As they ate, Eva marveled at how different everything felt. The way she held her fork, the way she dabbed at her lips with her napkin to avoid smudging her lipstick. It all felt new and exciting. So, Sarah said as they finished their main course. "What do you think? Was this a good idea?" Eva nodded enthusiastically. "It's been amazing! I never thought I could feel this free, this much like myself." Sarah reached across the table, taking Eva's hand in hers. "I'm so glad. You know, seeing you like this, it's like watching you bloom. You've always been beautiful, but now you're radiant." Eva felt tears prick at her eyes, but she blinked them back, not wanting to ruin her mascara. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything. For accepting me. For helping me. For loving me." Sarah squeezed her hand. "Always. No matter who you are or how you present yourself, I love you. All of you." As they finished their dessert and prepared to leave, Eva felt a pang of sadness. She didn't want the night to end, didn't want to go back to being Drew just yet. As if reading her mind, Sarah said, "You know, this doesn't have to be a one-time thing. If this is something you want to explore more, I'm here for you, every step of the way." Eva's heart swelled with emotion. "Really? You wouldn't mind?" Sarah shook her head. "Not at all. In fact, I think I like Eva just as much as I like Drew. Maybe even more, because Eva seems so much happier, so much more herself." They stepped out into the cool night air, Eva's pink dress swishing around her legs. As they walked home, hand in hand, Eva felt a sense of possibility she'd never experienced before. When they reached their apartment, Eva paused at the door. "Sarah," she said softly, I think I want to be Eva more often. Not all the time, maybe, but a lot of the time. Is that okay?" Sarah pulled her close, kissing her softly. "It's more than okay. It's wonderful. We'll figure it out together, okay? One day at a time." Eva nodded, a smile spreading across her face. As they entered the apartment, she caught her reflection in the hallway mirror. The person looking back at her was glowing with happiness, brown hair shimmering in the low light, pink dress a perfect complement to her radiant smile. For the first time in her life, Eva felt truly, completely herself. And she knew that with Sarah by her side, she could face whatever challenges lay ahead. This was just the beginning of her journey, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead. As the days turned into weeks, Eva found herself embracing her new identity more and more. She and Sarah established a routine, setting aside time each week for Eva to fully express herself. They went shopping together, building a wardrobe that allowed Eva to feel comfortable and confident in her feminine presentation. One sunny afternoon, they decided to have a picnic in the park. Eva wore a flowing yellow sundress that complemented her brown hair perfectly. As they spread out their blanket under a shady tree, Eva couldn't help but feel a sense of freedom she'd never experienced before. "You know," she said to Sarah as they unpacked their basket, "I never thought I'd feel this comfortable out in public like this. It's like I'm finally living authentically." Sarah smiled, reaching out to tuck a strand of Eva's hair behind her ear. "I'm so proud of you. You've come so far in such a short time." As they enjoyed their lunch, Eva found herself people-watching. She noticed a group of children playing nearby, their laughter carried on the breeze. For a moment, she tensed, worried about their reaction if they noticed her. But as the afternoon wore on, Eva realized that her fears were unfounded. The few people who did look their way simply smiled or nodded politely. She was just another person enjoying a beautiful day in the park. "Sarah," Eva said suddenly, setting down her glass of lemonade. "I've been thinking. I think I'm ready to start living as Eva full-time." Sarah's eyes widened. "Are you sure? That's a big step." Eva nodded, her expression serious. "I know it is, but every time I go back to being Drew, it feels wrong, like I'm putting on a costume. When I'm Eva, I feel like my true self." Sarah reached out, taking Eva's hand in hers. "If that's what you want, then I support you completely. But you know it won't always be easy, right? There will be challenges." Eva squeezed Sarah's hand. "I know, but with you by my side, I feel like I can face anything." They spent the rest of the afternoon discussing the practicalities of Eva's decision. They talked about work, about family, about the medical aspects of transition. It was a lot to consider, but Eva felt a sense of excitement and purpose she'd never experienced before. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, Eva and Sarah packed up their picnic. Walking hand in hand back to their apartment, Eva felt a sense of peace settle over her. She knew the road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but for the first time in her life, she felt like she was on the right path. Over the next few months, Eva began the process of transitioning in all aspects of her life. She came out to her family and friends, finding support in some unexpected places and facing challenges in others. She began hormone therapy, marveling at the subtle changes in her body and emotions. Sarah was there every step of the way, offering support, love, and the occasional makeup touch-up. They celebrated every milestone together, from Eva's first day at work as her true self to the day she legally changed her name. One evening, as they sat on their balcony watching the sunset, Eva turned to Sarah. "You know," she said softly, "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You've been my rock through all of this." Sarah smiled, leaning in to kiss Eva gently. "You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. I just helped you see what was already there." Eva twirled a strand of her brown hair around her finger, a habit she'd developed over the past few months. "Maybe, but still, thank you for everything." As the sky turned from gold to deep purple, Eva reflected on her journey. From those first tentative experiments with moisturizer to fully embracing her identity as a woman, it had been a whirlwind of change and growth. She thought about that first night out, when she'd worn the pink sundress and felt like she was truly seeing herself for the first time. Now, sitting here in a comfortable blue dress, her brown hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders, she felt at peace. Eva knew that her journey wasn't over. There would be more challenges to face, more growth to experience. But she also knew that she was finally living as her authentic self. And with Sarah by her side, she felt ready to face whatever the future might hold. As the first stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Eva took a deep breath, savoring the moment. She was Eva, she was loved, and she was finally, truly herself. And that, she realized, was the greatest gift of all.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!